You know, this is going to sound boring, but it's really the small details with the S22 Ultra that really make it a much better experience for me than I had previously with the Note 10 and the Note 20 series of phones. The little things such as just not having a giant camera hump in the back like they have with the Note 20 Ultra, and we'll get more into the camera in a little bit, but this is just nicer to have. It's the software improvements that really were a lot better in that version of One UI that launched originally with the S22 Ultra. I didn't have any lag issues. I didn't have any weird issues trying to split screen apps, trying to use picture in picture. I didn't have any weird issues just jumping between apps. It was a smooth experience. I literally couldn't tell you if there was any lag or anything like that. Only had one small bug with the cam app, which we'll get into a little bit later, but that actually resolved itself before we even jumped over to One UI 5 and Android 13, which sometimes when that happens, there's a little bit of sort of issues going from one to the other in terms of an in-place upgrade. But in this instance, it's been an extremely smooth experience. I really couldn't tell the difference. I like the improvements that we got with this. The other thing that really improved for me well was the battery life. I am a power user. I have a ton of stuff I put in here in terms of emails, in terms of messaging, calls, all those sort of things I have going at it with this phone. And this does last me throughout the day. And I imagine if somebody wasn't a power user, they probably get a little bit more battery life out of it than I do, but I can go through the whole day on a single charge and be just fine. I can even get into the next day because standby works a lot better now than it previously did before. So my phone does just drain off in the middle of the night with this. I do like what they've done here with the battery. I do wish we can get faster charging with this as well. Hopefully in the next versions we'll see that. Right now, the 45-watt charging, which I've proven doesn't go all the way up to 45 watts in terms of charging, is faster, but I would like to see that improve comparison to what we have with other phones. The other thing that I really liked with this was my experience when I took this overseas. So I went on a big Euro trip last summer, and what was really cool, I was able to use the eSIM functionality inside of this to be able to just download a data SIM, and I had connection no matter where I was. It was on 4G most of the time because that's the SIM card that I basically bought, the eSIM I put for it, and it worked flawlessly no matter where I went. It switched, it gave me the data, the GPS, everything worked just like if I was back here in the States. It worked just fine. I was really, really excited about that. And when I was traveling over this time over into Europe, I brought my camera, brought my A7C, which I'm recording on right here. And I'm like, I'm gonna take all these pictures, do all these other things. But the camera quality that came out of this is so good now. It really, I really didn't even take out my other camera that often. I didn't really use the pixels much. I was really satisfied with the picture quality that I got out of the S22 Ultra on both the front and rear facing camera. And I just use it just like, normally just taking shots. I wasn't trying to do any sort of creator modes or anything like that. I didn't use too much pro mode. I was on vacation, so I treated it like that. And it was a really good experience. Quality photos that I really enjoyed. I can't say enough about that. The S22 Ultra really made me feel like, okay, I really don't need to bring any sort of advanced camera with me. This is when I'm traveling, I'm gonna get the best picture quality that I can possibly get, and it's gonna give me what I'm looking for. And I really enjoyed the photos from this. But there's another thing improved in here very well, which is the video, which we can talk about.
Even on the most not optimal day to be able to do this in the middle of a sort of a snow, hail, or whatever's going on here in the middle of New England right now, the S22 front-facing camera is still pretty good. You can hear the audio quality is still pretty good. You still be able to hear me pretty well. Right now I'm using the front-facing camera, and probably in a couple minutes I'll probably flip this over to show you the rear-facing and show you what that sort of looks like. And you'll see that the quality overall for video, it's always pretty good. And I think for in the Android space, Samsung tends to be top-notch in this particular category.
Now you can record in 8K. That's nice if you really just want a high quality video that you might be sampling down to 4K or something like that. If you really need those details, you really need to see those snowflakes, you really need to see that stuff, 8K is a real cool thing to sort of have, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's something I use all the time. It's just kind of a nice feature. Now, while I use the S Pen, I'm not the biggest person in using the S Pen. It does come in handy when I need to do sort of precise things, like if I need to sign something, a document or something like that, or if I need to crop something out, specifically when I take a screenshot, it really does help with that. Or if I need to use it as a remote to take a picture or a selfie or something like that, and I don't have like a a selfie stick or any sort of stand to sort of put it on. I can just do it that way. I don't have somebody else to help me out. That remote feature is really, really nice to have, but I wouldn't call myself too much of a S Pen power user. It's one of those things I'm really happy when I have it, but I don't use it as often as probably some others do. Also, you know, I do a lot of gaming on this channel as well. I don't do a lot of mobile gaming per se. I do play games on here, but it's very simple games for the most part. Most of the time, that's kind of what I do. But I do know if you get some more powerful games on here, it does work pretty well with it. But I just don't use that personally. In terms of gaming, I'm more of on the console side of things, and when it comes to that, this device truly lives up to the Ultra name. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I know there's Note users of the 10 and the Note 20 series that are probably looking to upgrade. And yes, we know in a few weeks the S23 Ultra is going to come out, and it's going to have theoretically better specs and everything else than what we see here with the S22. But I feel like it's not always about having the latest and greatest, but getting the best value for yourself. And right now, the S22 Ultra, if you can find it a good deal and you compare it to what you're going to get in a deal for the S23 Ultra, this might be the better one for you to go with. I do have a link in the description that you can grab a reserve if you want to do that ahead of time for the S23 Ultra, just so you get like extra $50 off or so. But I will say to make sure you're looking at what the trade-in value is and what deals you're going to be able to get, because they're still going to be selling the S22 Ultra. And yes, the S23 Ultra is the newest, latest, and greatest, and that might be the better phone for you there because you might get better deals. But this is going to be just as probably good for a lot of you out there that are Note 10 and Note 20 users as well too, because I was one of those users a while back, and I can tell you from my experience, you definitely would be happy with this upgrade with the S22 Ultra, and more than likely the S23 is probably going to be pretty good as well too. I haven't decided if I'm going to upgrade to it just yet. I want to see what the trading deals and the value is going to be before doing that. But for right now, I would say sit and wait, but don't be afraid to not always have to get the latest of something. You can always get the S22 and it could work real well for you, or you can get the latest in the 23 and just let it be. I just wanted that to rhyme for some reason at the end here. I don't know.